I have an Elytra, but I don't really have any rockets. That is all I have to my name, and that is not enough for me to fly freely. Because of that, in today's video, we build two very necessary farms. First, we build a sugarcane farm, fully automatic that can run while I'm around it and in the environment building in the future. And two, a creeper farm, a gunpowder farm. This one needing me to AFK at it for it to run. It's also a bit of a shorter video than normal, and I would really appreciate if you guys gave me some comments or some feedback regarding that. Do you prefer the videos long, or do you like them nice, short and sweet like this one? Tell me down in the comments, and while you're there, please remember to like, comment and subscribe. If you're new here, my friends, it means the world to me. I said comment twice. Let's get into the video, shall we? Now, I believe this should be the last mending book I need for now. It's not the very last mending book I will need, but for now, I think it will do the trick. Now, hopefully with just a couple more swings of my sword, that should be a fully mended up, yep, set of gear, all of it. I've got a fully mended up chest plate, helmet, boots, leggings, 2 pickaxes, a shovel, an axe, a hoe, and a sword. Not a bow. Not a bow. My bow has infinity on it. Infinity, best bow. Please argue with me. Tell me why a mending bow is better than an infinity bow. But I cannot put mending on my bow, so we don't need to. And a real quick flight over here, because it's nighttime. Although the sun is rising, I can just quickly hop into one of my houses, any one, they all have beds in them, and just sleep. I can really quickly show you guys I've not put mending on any of my other tools, right? That's fine. I don't need mending on all of my tools right now. For now, I've got a set of tools and armor that I can use and that I will be using primarily for the time being, especially at the very least in this episode as we go forward, because as you saw, I quite like the fact that I can now fly. I have an Elytra and flight is fantastic. I love it. But I have limited rockets. Now, these are all the rockets I have. Don't mind the massive sugarcane monstrosity over here. We will be fixing that in today's episode, because today I'm sorting out my rocket problem, which means we need gunpowder farm and we need a sugarcane farm. The first farm I want to build is the sugarcane half of the equation, and I think I've got everything in these 3 shulker boxes that I'm going to need, not only for the mechanics of the farm, but also to make it look kind of nice. Now, the sugarcane farm of the two is not necessary to AFK at. I just need to be within the simulation distance of that farm, which means I need to build it somewhere where I'm going to be very active in the future, which is kind of this area of the plain space. So I'm thinking probably here, roughly where this tree is, won't be a bad area. Now, I haven't planned out this part of the village city expansion thing yet, so I don't have a road. Therefore, I think I can just go and build it anywhere in this general area, and we can plan the village and the city around whatever it ends up being. So let's get rid of these trees first. Now, for the aesthetic elements of this build, which will come in a little bit, we're going to do the techniques first. I want to bring in an air of mysticism, right? This is a fantasy world, and I want to start introducing some of those fantasy magical elements. So I've built the storage element so far, right? And if I ever need more than 3 double chests full of sugarcane, then something is wrong. Or unless they some way somehow introduce a sugarcane wood type like they did with bamboo, but I'm not holding out hopes for that. What? Where's my... Oh, there it is. Hi. Yeah, so I wanted to build this thing first, which right there, I've got this little drop chute where hopefully, if everything goes well, the sugarcane should fall from what is going to be a floating structure above this collection point into that hopper and be stored. Which does mean I can take some random blocks, and I'm just going to go for the acacia wood because I have it in my inventory right now, and I want to go up. I'm thinking about 10 blocks before I do anything else. From that point, as I built upward, I gradually widened the base of this floating structure in order to act as a funnel for all of the sugarcane that this farm is going to be producing. Which, if I were to demonstrate real quick by placing a bucket of water down a water source, it would flow out 7 blocks from that. So I've got 7 granite blocks out here, and this will be drop chutes on either side of the farm acting in the full height of the farm. What in effect I will have is I'll actually have a water source placed there, which the drops of the farm will fall down to here and be funneled to the center, where this is the final drop chute into the storage system of the farm. With the rough width of the technical aspects of the farm laid out thanks to this drop chute, I could finally begin to move into building the sugarcane farms itself, at least the first layer. And it's a very simple observer and piston push based sugarcane farm. And by adding in the last bits of glass over there, I think the farm is ready for me to simulate. If I were to do that, that side grows and I've got sugarcane that goes down. Now the farm is not going to be lossless, but I think for the most part, it should be efficient enough, and I'm going to add enough layers vertically that I don't think it's going to matter too much. This block can't be here because that's where my drop chute needs to be. All that remained then was to expand this farm vertically, adding 3 more total layers to the set. And man, the resulting farm is ugly, mostly because of all the granite. I'm not a fan of the granite. Luckily, it's a fairly simple process to hide all of that hideous granite between a far more aesthetically appealing stone variant box. And after building said plain and boring box, I could go in and I could add in the details, the inverted slope of the horns versus the bottom funnel downward, and these dark deep slate accent elements that I really like seeing in. For those that don't know, this is very reminiscent of a creeper farm that I built in my last series, and I really like it. It's a very cool and stark fantastical monument that sits out in the middle of the landscape. And finally, we finish this monument off by detailing, or at least filling in the spaces for the lower funnel, and man, working from the bottom up is by far the most tedious part of this project. And with a handful of really small twirls and add-ons to the deep slate detailing, I think our sugarcane farm is done. And in the roughly 1 hour or so it took me to build the shell and detail all of that around the outside, we've gotten very close to 10 stacks of sugarcane from it. So that is brilliant, that's fantastic. And I've not been losing any. It all works very well with the funnel and actually lands on the hopper, not falling around the outside. But that is the first of 2 farms in today's video, done and dusted. Now this farm I built big. That's about as big as I'm ever going to need a sugarcane farm to be. I don't think I will ever in this series be revisiting sugarcane production. So for that reason, I went and I made it as big as I think I need it to be, which, for those who don't know, there are 4 layers in there, roughly 2 stacks of pistons working. So if everything works fully optimally, say everything is fully grown when I get it, I should be getting 4 stacks of sugarcane out of it every time it's harvested. Now obviously it doesn't work quite that way, but anyway, that's just some context. In contrast, the creeper farm that I'm going to be building next, I'm going to be building undersized. It will be producing gunpowder, and it will be producing, hopefully, I hope, enough gunpowder for the early game. But I am definitely planning on building a bigger mega mob farm later on in the series, and that will eventually be replacing this gunpowder farm. But for now, I just need to gather up some resources and then we can get into the creeper farm aspect of this video. And that does mean that I can come back in here and finally get rid of this hideous, temporary sugarcane farm. Now for the creeper farm that I'm going to be building, I'm going to be following a tutorial by Chapman, who I believe was the original inventor, discoverer, creator of this farm prototype though I do know that other creators have adapted it or repurposed the same idea and or concept, but Chapman is the one I know of to have been the original one. And for it, I've done a little bit of preparation. I've got 4 cats ready, as I'm going to be building 2 layers of Chapman's farm. And the sun is always setting in this game. Why? It's okay, the farmer does not mind a little bit of company every now and then, and he also doesn't mind, the farmer, the librarian, doesn't mind sharing his bed with me every now and then. Thank you, sir. No. Excuse me. Yeah, okay, you can stand up there. Aside from the boats being a very easy and convenient way to keep the cats stationary and in one place, it's also very useful to transport them over water because I'm going to be building this farm over the water. And I've kind of set up a thing here that you should begin to see rendering in now. Just a initial waypoint, and I'm thinking I'm going to build it here out over the ocean. Naturally, I will have Chapman's original tutorial linked down in the description of this video, but the reason I'm building it out over the ocean is to reduce the amount of other mob spawns and the amount of caves that I need to go and light up. Admittedly, when I started building it and when I made the decision to build it out over the ocean, I did not think about drown. Now they could be a problem and I don't know what to do about them at this point, so we're going to go on, build this farm, we're going to pretend drowned aren't a problem, and hopefully they aren't too big of a problem. But as I put the cats into place, I want to talk about the mechanics of the farm a little bit. The carpets are meant to prevent spiders from spawning within the space, and the spaces themselves are 2 blocks tall, with the trapdoors right underneath the ceiling blocks. This makes the spawnable heights just under 2 blocks tall, which means skeletons and zombies can't spawn at all. Hopefully that does mean that it's only creepers, and in the past I've never had problems building the farm this way, so fingers crossed and touch wood that everything goes well. Now while this farm does not technically need any redstone, you can have the chests underneath the farm. I'm building a very simple dropper clock just so that I can move all of the items that this farm does produce up to above the farm, where I can later build in a storage system. The very last bit that's needed is to drain the drop chute of all the water, and I'm just using plain sand blocks here, after which I can add the soul campfires at the bottom. I'm using these specifically because they produce less light than regular campfires and they cause a bit more damage to the mobs, ultimately killing them faster. And once I've got that little storage system set up at the top, I think all that is left is for me to build a quick AFK point, which I want to have built 128 blocks above this height, because the campfires sit on top of this block height. So 52, 128 up is probably about, what, 170, 180? I did some rough math, deducted a couple of blocks here and there. I need to go up 102 blocks from where I am right now, from this, this center point right here. So I gotta go up all of the scaffolding I currently have on my hotbar and then build a quick little AFK point. And I'm gonna give it an hour. I think an hour is a good amount of time. It's a nice thing you can put on a thumbnail for a video, and it gives you a good number that you can multiply over, say, an evening's worth of AFK, 8 to 10 hours. And it's all empty right now, so hopefully it should be perfectly fine when I come back. I'll build the AFK point, and then I'm gonna have to turn off the lights, because I did put redstone lamps in next to each of these granite blocks, and those just turn the farm off. I might in the future automate this to all run off of one switch, but for now I've got a switch per redstone lamp. It's just arbitrary. I need to test the farm first. So let me go build that AFK point, which puts me right here. It's very simple, it's very plain and very boring, but I do have a shulker box where I can store all of my things, because, you know, I don't trust computers and games and things, and I really would hate for something to crash and maybe me to die and to lose everything. So I'm just gonna dump everything into that shulker box, set my spawn at this bed, And right here me stands, and we'll see exactly how much gunpowder this farm can produce in about an hour.
1 hour later.
Okay, a little bit over an hour later. Oh, damn. Oh, damn. I was not expecting 9 stacks of gunpowder in an hour. For this thing only has 2 layers. You can stack this up a lot further as long as the highest layer is, I think, 16 or 20 blocks away from where you're standing, because mobs don't spawn within that radius around the player. So you can get a lot more out of this than just 9 stacks in 1 hour. That's amazing. I absolutely love that. And that means that I can run over to our sugarcane farm that we also built and grab about 9 stacks of its sugarcane from its inventory, craft all of that into paper, and finally craft up a good supply of rockets. From here the game changes, my friends. I am fully airborne. Finally. Most of which I'm going to throw into this shulker box that I store in an ender chest, and I always carry at least 1 ender chest on me, so I will always have access to all of those rockets. And that means I can take flight for the first time without having to worry that my rockets are going to run out. That is... I'm over the moon, my friends. I cannot begin to explain how happy this makes me. The game starts now. Which means that I can get rid of this hideous scaffolding tower and get all of this scaffolding back, because scaffolding is a far more precious resource now than gunpowder. Because I can get gunpowder, I cannot yet get string in great supply. Just add that slab back in there, and I will have to do something about the now hole in the floor on that thing, but I think I'll leave that until the next episode, because I want you guys to go down into the comments right now after you've liked this video and subscribed if you're new, and tell me what you think I should do to decorate that, as well as the AFK point up at the top. I have some ideas leaning towards ship or maybe a steampunk oil rig kind of thing, but please give me some suggestions down in the comments. I would appreciate it very, very much. And on that note, I think it's time to end the episode. It's a much shorter video than I'm used to uploading to YouTube, and I would like you guys to tell me what you think about that. Do you like the shorter format, or do you prefer half an hour plus videos? This one I think is going to round out to be about 18 to 20 minutes. The one before this was also a bit shorter, so I'd really like some feedback. Do you guys like long content or short content? For now though, my friends, I really hope you have enjoyed this video. You know what to do: like, comment, subscribe, all the wonderful things, and I cannot wait to see you in the next one.